Something old wakes up under Tennessee's hills and river bottoms. Not in broken buildings, but in puzzles. Stone shapes with no makers, mounds with no bones, lights no lamp ever lit. These secrets aren't forgotten. They were never solved. They just wait, hidden in the earth's breath, in time's quiet. So where do you listen from? What age of the world is humming under your feet? This is a place of uncharted wonders, where the past isn't dead, but it's listening. Close to Old Gaze Bluff, looking over the Cumberland River, there are huge stone rings set inside each other. They're stacked without any mortar. Some walls over 4 feet high, placed in spirals up the hill. The size of these structures is like early European hill forts, but it's older than any colonial record by hundreds of years. Tests on old charcoal buried there suggest people used it as early as 700 CE. Yet no native nation claims the spot, and no everyday trash, no bones, broken pottery, or fire pits has ever been found. Some think the rings weren't for living, but for ceremonial altars or paths for rituals. Others guess they line up with the stars, as one passage perfectly frames the winter solstice sunrise. Still, the reason is unknown. The design is too planned for random piling. It shows careful thought. The spirals feel purposeful, mathematical, maybe even symbolic. But of what some experts say, the rings weren't made to hold things in, but to let something out, to guide something you can't see. They're quiet, so near the river doesn't whisper of life, but of memory, caught in stone. Section 1, Vanished Civilizations of Tennessee. Resolute Lake is Tennessee's only natural lake, made as stories say when a huge earthquake in 1811 made the Mississippi River run backwards. But divers and sound surveys hinted something else. Under the lake's muddy bottom is a grid of foundations, stone posts, straight roads, and what looked like platforms for ceremonies. Experts were shocked to find copper tools and fire-blackened stones from at least 1,000 years ago. But there are no signs of a big settlement nearby. Who lived here? Why did they go? Chickasaw stories tell of a great village swallowed by shaking ground. Could this be it? The layout doesn't match known Mississippian buildings. Its roads go against the main directions, some forming nearly perfect spirals. The lake might have been both a disaster and a cover. A whole town buried in mud. What's left under Reelfoot's calm surface is more than ruins. It's a memory drowned in muck. At Castellian Springs in northern Tennessee, an old city once stood, marked by earth mounds, platform buildings, and walls. Digs found tens of thousands of objects, copper headdresses, shell jewelry, carved pipes. But wearily, there's no proof of long-term burials. Bodies are missing. Unlike other Mississippian mound sites, Castellian Springs seems to have been left suddenly around 1350 CUI. No signs of war, fire, or sickness. The city just empties in the archaeological record. One generation gone. What's left is spooky in its exactness. Mounds lined up with substuses, plazas shaped to make sound louder. Art that suggests contact with pharaoh cultures, including designs from the Great Lakes and Gulf Coast. Some scholars think it was a religious split or a ritual cleansing. Others believe the city was built for one single purpose, finished, and then everyone left. Whatever truth is under the mounds, the city stays unclaimed, its story half told, its silence louder than its ruins. Under the battlefield at Stones River, much older patterns show up long before gunfire echoed there. Special radar has shown a network of rectangular outlines, some over 100 feet across, set in rows with strange neatness. These aren't Civil War trenches or native homes. No tools, bones, or pottery have been found in them. Only hard clay floors and groups of quartz pebbles placed on purpose in corners. The layout looks like city blocks, but no lasting buildings are left. Historians guess the area might have held a temporary ceremonial center, or maybe an early station for watching stars. One line of holes mirrors the pod star cluster. A few bold researchers have said this was an invisible city built not for shelter, but for ritual presence. Whatever its use, it was wiped away long before the battlefield wrote its own history on top. 2 forgotten wars, one over land, one over meaning and quiet. Cut into a high limestone wall along the Obion Ridge were once hundreds of carvings figures with feathered headdresses, twisting snakes, circles with spikes around them. Early settlers wrote about them in the 1800s. But today, most have faded, vanished, or been buried by landslides. The little that's left shows no known writing system, only mysterious symbols that repeat in other far-off parts of North America. Some glyphs look a lot like carvings found in Arizona, Utah, and even British Columbia. Could there have been a big symbolic language that once spread across the continent, now lost? The ridge has no village, no mound, no signs of people living there, just symbols carved high up and out of reach, like messages left for sky beings or warnings for those below. Locals say you can still hear the ridge hum at dusk. The stone might be speaking, but we've forgotten how to hear it. South of Monterey lies the strange standing stone, a tall rock that once rose 12 feet high before it was broken in the 19th century. Native tales say it marked the center of something older, a meeting place or a border. But more mysterious is what's below. When geologists checked the hill around the original spot, they found rooms, long, dry caves held up by set stone slabs with soot on the ceilings going at least 3 levels down. These hollow passages have no bones, no tools, only smooth floors and walls marked with wave-like spirals. The rooms seem made for sound. Whispers travel strangely far. Some think it was an underground council hall or temple. Others guess the caves held something once sacred or dangerous. Now sealed for safety, the spot is closed to the public. But those who've been inside say the air feels different, not stale, but aware. The hill is hollow but not empty. Section 2. Sacred structures, temples, and ancient alignments. Near present-day Dova, the Duck River complex was once a huge ceremonial center of careful engineering and spiritual shapes. Its mounds, now softened by erosion and time, once rose over the land on purpose. The biggest one still faces due east, lined up perfectly with the spring equinox sunrise, hinting at a focus on rebirth, time, and sun cycles. Holes for posts found on top suggest there were once wooden pillars or markers, maybe forming a sun calendar like ones found at Cahokia or Poverty Point. Archaeologists dug up a winding stone path that wrapped around the mound's base, pointing to ritual parades. Things found here include bird-shaped pottery, copper discs with sunburst designs, and river stones, polished shiny. Chickasaw stories called this region a place where sky and ground made promises. But what was that promise? Was it a celestial vow, a ritual agreement, or a memory carved into the land? The site is more than buildings. It is a text. And like any ancient text, it has lines we still can't read. These mounds weren't just for burial or status. They were timekeepers, story keepers, and border stones between sky and soil. Hidden in the ravines and dark caves of Savage Gulf are rooms with sounds so precise they rivaled modern concert halls. One cave, with a domed roof and oval floor, turns a whisper into a chorus and footsteps into drum beats. Early explorers noticed the effect long before archaeologists came. Black soot lines the ceiling, hinting at centuries of controlled fire. Cut into the walls are rhythmic grooves, spirals, and rings. Patterns found at other sacred sound sites around the world. Inside, no tools or remains were found. Only pieces of quartz set in groups and burned cedar bits near the room's center. This lack of everyday trash suggests the space was special, maybe forbidden. Cherokee legends talk of the singing dark, a void where voices were sent to connect. Some anthropologists think these caves were used for initiation rites, where being alone and distorted sound brought change. Others think of healing with vibrations moving through body and rock, lining up spiritual frequencies. The rooms blur the line between building and feeling. These weren't just buildings, but instruments, not just caves, but holy places carved to hold invisible forces. They hint that the builders didn't just measure space. They measured silence and tuned it. Tucked deep in the misty woods of Bell's Hollow lies a strange line of standing stones. Each one rough, covered in moss, and planted firmly along a forest ridge. For years, they were called random glacial leftovers or settler clearings, but recent scans and 3D mapping showed something amazing. The stones match the Draco constellation as it looked in the sky almost 2,000 years ago. Their placement isn't random, it's star-based. Even stranger, soil tests from nearby charcoal pits gave dates from around 400 CE. This is older than known big stone practices in the area. Each stone, some over 6 feet tall, has no marks or carvings. Adding to the mystery, no known tribe in the region says they made them. Legends talk of the dragon's trail walked by star-led processions that never spoke. Could this be an ancient map, not for travel, but for ceremony? A land copy of a sky path? Some believe it was a pilgrimage route guiding seekers to enlightenment by the stars. Others think it was an astrology temple used to predict seasons or spiritual visits. But one thing is clear. Someone tracked the heavens here, and they left behind a constellation rooted in earth, fixed in stone and now fading into moss and memory. Hidden behind the more famous battlefields of Shiloh, archaeologists found a little-known mound group that doesn't fit the usual Mississippian plan. Instead of the normal round or square shapes, this group is built around a perfect triangle. 3 mounds equally spaced set in an exact geometric shape. Each lines up with a solstice point of Mur sunrise, winter sunset, and equinox noon. When connected, they form not just a triangle, but a celestial clock. Inside one mound, diggers found a stone idol, its face stretched out and eyes hollow, carved from an unknown white mineral. Its look shows no emotion, almost alien. The mounds had crushed mussel shells used as flooring, hinting at ceremonial foot traffic. Burned layers and pine charcoal point to seasonal fire rituals. Yet again, no burials, no bones, just structure and symbol. Local folklore speaks of the 3 lights of the sky that met here long before memory. Magnetic oddities have been recorded at the Triangle Center, messing with compasses and making digital gear fail. Was this a temple trio for sun, moon, and star? A trinity of light written into earth? Or something even older? A geometric echo of ancient Panamian worship. The triangle, unlike the circle, speaks of balance, direction, and pointed will. Its meaning stays sealed under dirt and intention. Along the fertile stretches of the Nolichucky River, sky scans show what the eye alone can't see. Huge symbols drawn into the earth. Arrows, spirals, animals, and interlocking rings. These ground drawings cover acres invisible on the ground, but clear from above. Their size suggests a purpose beyond looks. Maybe they were meant for watches in the sky or bombs in higher realms. At the plaza's edge, archaeologists found stone boundary lines and patterns of post holes, proof of platforms or tall poles, maybe holding flags or figures. The whole site lines up with the seasonal rise of Leo, Orion, and Scorpio. Notably, no signs of people living there. No pottery bits or tools have been found, but color changes in the soil and burn marks suggest repeated ritual fires. Some think this was a stage for cosmic performance, priests acting out creation stories, their movements copying constellation paths. Others guess it was a message board for the stars, symbols meant to be read from above, not below. The glyphs stay untouched by modern development, their secrets kept by being hidden. This isn't a plaza for the living. It's a layered script of performance, an offering written in the language of light and land. High above the fog line on our mountains, crests scattered across windy ridges, sit dozens of ancient stone piles covered half-fallen and worn by weather. They blend into the rocks until you map them. Their positions trace arcs that line up with lunar standstills. Specifically, the 186-year major moon cycle, a pattern only the most advanced sky watchers would know. Such an alignment would need long-term star tracking, likely passed down through story or ceremony. But no tools, fire pits, or human remains have ever been found nearby. The spot's isolation and lack of living evidence point to ceremony, not homes. Legends from the area speak of sky fires and silver visitors that appeared every generation, marked by dances and chants. Some modern researchers report slight magnetic oddities and compass problems near the piles. Echoes maybe of electromagnetic ritual or just ancient earth magic. These piles aren't burial markers. They are clocks made of stone, calendars marked by moonlight and prayers set in granite. They remind us that ancient people didn't just watch the heavens. They timed their souls to it. And somewhere in the shifting quiet of Rome's high stone spine, that timing continues. Section 3. Cave markings, petroglyphs, and undeciphered inscriptions tucked into a limestone overhang. Within Red Clay State Park is a huge rock panel carved with the image of a thunderbird. its wings spread wide, claws out, body outlined with spirals. The figure dominates the wall nearly 10 feet across. Its style doesn't match Cherokee or Mississippian art found elsewhere in the Southeast. Around the bird are small, triangular marks and what look like tally lines or notches, maybe counting star events or rituals. Tests on torch stow from nearby cracks put human activity here over 1,100 years ago. Locals once thought the cave gave off strange echoes, words whispered back in different tones. Some believe the bird shows a sky god maybe used to call storms or protection. Others think it was a guardian made during a migration stop, marking territory or memory. The image stays bright despite centuries of exposure. It still watches. Interestingly, recent sound studies of the cave show a chamber echo that sounds like thunder when hit at certain spots, possible on purpose effect to boost the thunderbird's symbolic power. These links between image, sound, and holy place suggest the thunderbird wasn't just decoration, it was part of the performance, a living piece of the ritual landscape. High above the waterline of the Clinch River Gorge are a series of carved snakes. Each is cut into the cliffside with curling tails, split tongues, and angled bodies. Some twist across boulders for over 6 feet. Others twine together in K&L-like shapes. While snake pictures are common in Eastern native stories, the placement and repetition here suggests a specific reason. Oddly, each snake faces a different main direction, as if guarding a spiritual border or marking a sacred route. Lichen and mineral buildup hide parts of the carvings, but recent 3D scans showed unseen glyphs between the snake circles, crescents, and symbols no one can yet read. According to Cherokee stories, this gorge was once a threshold where underworld and upperworld energies crossed. Were these carvings warnings, prayers, or maps? Some guess the snakes marked ley lines or power currents, charged places where the veil between worlds gets thin. The snakes never blink. During summer solstice, sunsets, shadows cast by certain cliff edges frame specific snake figures, a possible seasonal marker set in rock. The snakes don't just exist in the physical, they arrange time and direction. Deep in the Tucalichi cavern system, beyond tourist paths, cave explorers found strange cut markings made with stone tools or antler picks. They show crossing triangles, spirals, and stretched human-like forms with radiating headbursts. These symbols don't look like any known tribal language or religious art. Some look eerily like Neolithic signs found in Europe. Scholars argue if they were made by pre-Columbian visitors from across oceans, isolated visionary cultures, or even fakes. But carbon dating of nearby torch remains suggests they're at least 800 years old. The cave room itself seems widened by people, its sound making even small noises louder. Was this a hole for initiation? A sealed temple for rites never recorded? Some local legends tell of those who drew light from stone and vanished after breaking sacred promises. These glyphs could be warning signs or calls. Either way, they remain cut in the dark, untouched by light, daring someone to remember what they meant. Interestingly, special scans have shown hidden glyphs painted in ochre and faded dyes not visible to the eye, suggesting layered messages and rituals tied to perception itself. On the inside walls of Nickerjack Cave, partly underwater from the Tennessee River, are rare carvings of sun wheels round designs with 4, 8, or even 12 spreading lines. They are set in rows and sometimes appear next to human-like figures holding up their hands or standing on spirals. Divers found them only recently when drought lowered the water. The spot raises questions. Why carve sun symbols where light hardly reaches? Some think this room was flooded long after its use, while others believe the water was on purpose, a reflective part of the ritual. Native records call Nakak a place of long dreaming, a zone between waking and spirit worlds. The sun wheels may have marked seasonal rites, star alignments, or even journeys of rebirth. The cave sound echoes with low hums, and bats avoided the specific room with carvings. Sun drawn in darkness, light cut into stone below a river. Not a mistake, but a ceremony. A new idea suggests water was used to activate the carving, sluted to reflect torchlight into movement. Copying solar rotation, a cycle drawn in light, water, and stone. Above the Cumberland River, a hidden cave mouth leads into a set of tight, winding passages. Along one wall, barely seen in flickering light, are carvings of broken human forms. A torso with no head, legs apart from a pelvis, arms set in circles, feet pointing inward. Each body part has dots, lines, or spirals with it. First thought to be signs of violence. Their steady direction suggests ritual instead. Some parts are linked by cut pathways like threads weaving pieces together across the stone. No burial remains were found, but the room holds crushed shells, red ochre stains, and ceremonial items left whole. Tribal memory offers little, but scattered myths describe a sky being torn apart to make the world, its pieces buried across the land. Was this cave a storytelling space, a diagram of creation, or a rite of remembrance? These bodies weren't broken, they were placed. Comparing them with similar pictures in Mesoamerican books suggests cross-cultural themes or shared myth ideas, echoing stories of creation through sacred breaking apart. Ice House Bottom, a prehistoric spot long known for its layered relics, revealed something startling in 2018. Shallow rock carvings, once called decorative, turned out to copy specific star constellations. Using astronomy software, researchers found patterns matching Orion, the Pleiades, and the Summer Triangle as they looked over 1,200 years ago. The carvings are small, grouped, and set beside old hearths. This hints the site wasn't just for living, but for cosmos fire and stars, earth and sky. Some thinkers believe the carvings were teaching diagrams guiding travelers or priests in seasonal ceremonies. Others believe they were memory aids, codes to remember time, migration, or prophecy. Whatever their use, they showed deep sky knowledge and purpose. Who looked up from these stones and carved what they saw, and what do they think waited beyond those stars? Ice House Bottom whispers its answer only when firelight flickers over the carved heavens below. Recent 3D imaging has shown overlooked tiny carvings, little star clusters likely used as calendars for planting or pilgrimage. The site is now being rethought just as a settlement, but as a land-based observatory. Section 4. Ancient Burial Sites and Unusual Mounds. On a ridge near the Cumberland River, a rarely visited spot holds a twin spiral mound. Two earth coils twined in a pattern like DNA stretching almost 300 feet long and rising over 8 feet. The mounds have no known builders. Radar showed hollow rooms where they cross, but digs have been denied for preservation. No burials are confirmed, yet the pattern and precision hint at sacred geometry. Some researchers think it stands for life and death twining together in balance. Local law warns travelers not to walk between the spirals after dark as time bends there. Could this be a symbolic burial, honoring an idea instead of a body? Its shape is like no other mound east of the Mississippi. From above, it's breathtaking. From the ground, it's unsettling. Who made such a form in the soil? And why tie life to spiral motion? Recent drone views show faint straight paths spreading from the mound like wheel spokes, making it even harder to understand. Were they ceremonial walkways or alignment tools? The soil near the core has odd magnetic readings, suggesting building with energetic properties. It's not just a burial, it's a message written in earth. Along the forest edges of the Buffalo River, several dome-shaped mounds seem normal until you step on them. Then the ground echoes hollowly as if a space lies below. Early surveys noted strange magnetic readings and voids under the surface, but no tunnels were confirmed. In one case, a careful core sample found only packed air and a layer of fine white ash. No bones, tools, or offerings. Some thinkers believe these are resonance tombs where sound or vibration played a role in ritual or preservation. Others guess sky burials with bodies placed elsewhere, while these mounds mark their spiritual return. Cherokee stories speak of breathing earth and hills that sing before storms. These mounds have no known tribal link. They hum only for those who step lightly and listen. Are they graves, instruments, or both? In recent sound tests, footsteps over the mounds make unique frequencies boosted by the hollow spaces inside, suggesting on-purpose acoustic design. Some think this could have been used in rites of passage or as a spiritual amplifier for chants. A mound that speaks when walked on isn't just a marker. It's a participant. Dug up in the early 1900s, The burial site of Flint Ridge showed paired tombage set had two stone rooms side by side but sealed separately. In several pairs, one room held bone pieces and red ochre, while the other was completely empty. No tools, remains, or objects at all. The rooms were lined up with the setting sun at solstice. One idea suggests a symbolic pair, body and spirit, seen and unseen, kept together. Others say the empty tombs were offerings to ancestors or gods holding their presence rather than remains. No mound rises over the spot. It's a flat graveyard of double meaning. The soil still has bits of charcoal, and the smell of river clay hangs in the air. At Flint Ridge, not all the dead were buried, and not all the graves were meant to be filled. Newer soil tests show rare mineral layers between paired tombs, maybe marking energetic separation. Some spiritual traditions believe empty space holds as much power as form. Flint Ridge might not be unfinished. It may be exactly as meant to mirror between the touchable and the sacred. The Elk River Bend holds a stepped mound that copies the shape of a ziggurat building style more. Known from Mesopotamia, then North America, the mound rises in 3 levels, each a bit smaller than the last, making a flat pyramid shape. Archaeological digs found clay floors, post holes hinting at wooden structures on each level, and ceremonial ash pits. Yet again, no burials. If it was a tomb, it held something else. The mound faces southeast, lining up with the sunrise between equinox and solstice, a date linked to fertility in many ancient cultures. Nearby, pieces of antler masks and bird claw figures were found. This wasn't just a burial site, it was a performance space, observatory, and altar. Some thinkers even suggest it was a copy of a mythical mountain raised to bring the sky closer, a monument of reach, not rest. Soil scans have also found underground channels spreading from the mound, maybe for water or symbolic veins. The whole structure may have been a cosmogrammer layered world where spirits, nature, and celestial cycles met in ritual climb. In the quiet hills of Laurel Hollow, a find shocked archaeologist. Small stone boxes, each no more than 4 feet across, held bundles of burned bones wrapped in bark and buried shallowly. The bones showed signs of on-purpose burning, but not full cremation. Some were human, others were not. Tests showed deer, dictamine, bird, and in one case, a primate not native to North America. How these remains got here is a mystery. The boxes are ringed with small standing stones, all leaning inward. No tribal culture in the area is known for this burial type. Some suggest ritual change, sacrifices, or mixed beliefs. Others fear misidentification. But the bark wrappings, careful placement, and group design say this wasn't random. It was belief in something we don't know. Recent residue tests found traces of mind-altering plants on some wrappings, leading to guesses that these rites involve trans states. Were the boxes places of mourning or of merging between species between worlds? Laurel Hollow gives no answers, just ash, stone, and quiet. Before modern Memphis rose on the bluff above the Mississippi, ancient people buried their dead in multi-layered terraces cut into the low soil. Construction in the 1800s uncovered hundreds of skeletons, some curled up, others sitting cross-legged, many in rings. Most were rearied without study. The few examined showed no injury, old age, or disease. But many had changed, skulls flattened, with long brows, maybe done on purpose. Were these spiritual leaders, star priests, or something stranger? The burial rings suggest locals say the lake spirits whisper through the water when it rains, calling out in languages no one knows. If the quake buried a whole culture's passages underwater, then the lake isn't just a natural feature. It's a grave sealed in mud and myth. At the archaeological site of Old Stone Fort near Manchester, the visible ruins make a defensive enclosure. But recent radar showed something stranger. Stairs deep under the fort's main walkway, a spiral staircase seems to go down into a sealed room cut right from the bedrock. Digging has been limited for preservation, but small samples show the stairs go down at least 30 feet. What's at the bottom is unknown. No other Mississippian or woodland sites have underground spiral stairs. Were they symbolic, useful, a door to a hidden ritual room? Some local myths tell of earth stairs where spirits move between worlds. If the stairs are real and not a natural fluke, they suggest a level of building skill not given to known local cultures. Compass readings jump wildly above the spot. Birds won't nest within 30 feet. The path goes down not just into earth, but into myth, into a silence built to keep something sacred or something buried. Hikers in a remote part of McMinn County found a stone tunnel partly uncovered by erosion. Unlike natural caves, its entrance is squared with a flat flagstone floor and beveled joints, hinting at mortar building. After 20 feet, the passage is blocked by a stone slab carved with 3 parallel lines and a rough sunburst symbol. No other symbols in regional native records match it. Carbon dating of nearby materials puts the spot at nearly 1,500 years old, far older than any known settlement in the area. Trying to lift the slab failed. It weighs tons. A compass acts weird nearby. Locals now call it the doorway to where the old ones sleep. Some think it leads to an underground burial vault, others to a lost migration route. One idea says it seals a portal between realms, an ancient gate kept closed by oath or ritual. Its silence holds no answers, only questions, and a slab that has waited centuries to be asked the right one. Section 6, Forbidden Artifacts and Out-of-Place Objects. In 1968, a farmer near Kingston dug up something he couldn't explain. A human-shaped mask made of hammered copper buried under a foot of clay. The face had big eyes and no mouth with one line cut across the forehead like a scar or crown. Experts dated it to over 2,000 years old, older than known Mississippian sites in the region. The nearest copper source is hundreds of miles away. No matching objects have ever been found in Tennessee, yet similar designs show up in burial mounds in distant Ohio. The mask vanished soon after a local museum got it, reportedly taken into private hands. Was it ceremonial? A picture of an unknown ruler or god. Some believe it was placed to ward off something below. The ground where it was found is now fenced off. No entry. But for a moment, Tennessee held the face of a forgotten world. Years later, rumors came back about a private collector who claimed to own the mask, calling it a key to the buried gods. No photos were ever released publicly. Metal tests done in secret, according to an anonymous tip, showed an alloy mix not known from local copper working cultures. What was once thought symbolic may have had a use, even a hidden purpose. Locals say the soil glows faintly after rain. Maybe it's just a story, or maybe the mask is still watching from behind a paneled wall, waiting to be recognized. Under the floorboards of a primeval warhouse in Pulaski, renovators found an object like nothing seen before. A polished quartz disc shaped like a convex lens. About palm-sized, it focused light with spooky clarity and showed fine scratches on nearby wood when used. Scientists said it wasn't natural and had grinding marks matching advanced stonework. Quality lenses weren't made in the Americas until centuries later. Who made this thing and why? Some say it belonged to a secret society. Others think it was part of a solar alignment tool. Native law in the region talks of the Sunai that could see through lies. If the stories are linked, the lens may have been both tool and replica. Look not just into the physical world, but into hidden truths. It's now in a private collection. Its original purpose, like its maker, stays unknown. Researchers who briefly had it noted it bent light like a modern magnifying glass, but with unexplained clarity under moonlight. Some guess it was used in night ceremonies or sky watching. The lens seemed to glow faintly when held to flame, though no glowing materials were in it. What kind of culture makes optics centuries before telescopes? Maybe they didn't use it to see farther. Maybe they used it to see within the floorboards it came from are gone. But the mystery only grows. Pulaski, it seems, still reflects more than it shows. In the 1930s, a set of metal plates were found buried near Beech Grove, etched with symbols not from any known language, made of copper alloy and about the size of a modern notebook. Each plate was wrapped in rotten bark and buried in a clay case. One side had geometric pattern spirals, interlocking triangles, lattice, while the back showed human-like figures with raised arms and shining halos. Some compared the writing to ancient Coptic or even early Mesoamerican script, but no exact match exists. After being shown briefly in a local school, the artifacts disappeared. Rumors say federal agents took them. Were they religious icons, star charts, records of a culture erased from time? Without context, they stay whispers etched in copper. Yet their art and complexity fight simple dismissal. Whoever made them understood more than metal. They knew how to speak across centuries. Locals who saw the plates before they vanished said when touched, they felt oddly warm. Several children who saw them swore the haloed figures moved overnight, though skeptics blame bad memory. Later, rumors say one plate showed up briefly in a Nashville antique shop. Priced not by age but by effect, it was said to stop digital watches. No photos remain, and the artifact has vanished again. But the impression had left of copper pages not meant to be read, but remembered stays a hiker on the rocky slopes near Elizabethan in 1974 found a human skull stuck in a crack. Authorities came and what they found deepened the mystery. The skull was ancient, maybe pre-Columbian, and carved with tiny glyphs spiraling over its crown. Bone experts were stunned. The symbols weren't just decoration, they had grammar. Each curve was carefully cut with a sharp tool and filled with ochre color. One main mark looked like a double helix centuries before DNA was known. The skull was taken to a university for study, but was lost soon after. Only photos remain. No other bones were found nearby. What culture marks its dead this way? Was this an honored priest, a storyteller, or someone who carried knowledge in flesh and bone? The crack stays untouched, and no further digs were allowed. All that's left is an image and a legend of the skull that spoke. Some claim the glyphs weren't just spirals. They matched sound frequencies when mapped visually. Trying to copy the carving sequence through vibrations suggests the marks may have made a kind of musical code, a song carved in boner warning or an invitation. Elizabethan's authorities deny knowing where the skull is now, but independent researchers think it's in private storage, a relic of memory and marrow. It may yet hold a forgotten hymn of ancient thought. During a geology survey near Big South Fork, a cube-shaped stone object was found stuck in rock layers over 30 feet down. The thing was made of a basalt-like material, unnaturally smooth, and covered with a coating that resisted all tests. Its corners were perfect right angles, and one side had a raised pattern that gave off faint radiation when scanned. Though not radioactive, ancient cultures didn't have tools to cut stone like this, especially not in Tennessee. The survey team was told to stop digging, and the object was quickly removed by unknown officials. Some think the cube was part of a machine or monument. Others insist it's proof of an ancient intelligence long lost or hidden on purpose. Whatever its origin, it doesn't fit the geological record. It doesn't fit in time, and that may be the point. Looking deeper into core samples found burned layers above and below the cube's depth, suggesting exposure to extreme heat. Some researchers say it might be a memory core or energy channel from a pre-human civilization. The geometric design on one face looks oddly like modern quantum circuits, but the artifact has since vanished into private vaults, reportedly tracked by international collectors. Tennessee's bedrock doesn't give up easily, but this time it gave something impossible and was quickly silenced. In the 1950s, a fisherman diving in Norris Lake pulled up a cluster of glass rods fused together like tangled roots. First thought to be industrial waste. Further tests showed they were a unique silica mix not made anywhere in the U.S. at that time. The rods were hollow, different lengths, and showed signs of intense heat over to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Local legends told of the sky fire that once fell over the lake area long ago. Some researchers say the rods might be fulgurites made when lightning hit sand, but their structure was too regular. Others whisper of a lost technology used to channel energy or store information. Today, only pieces remain. The rest stolen or thrown away, but the rod's appearance under the lake still inspires stories of disasters, visitors, or builders long forgotten. Tennessee's waters may cover more than Earth. They may cover memory itself. A few surviving rods were tested in the 1970s and reportedly showed piezoelectric responses, giving off voltage when squeezed. Such traits suggest advanced engineering for signal transfer or sound resonance. Some local tribes have stories of songs that traveled in crystal may be linked to these objects. Whether meteorite, experiment, or artifact, the rods challenge what we think we know. Under the still waters of Norris, an ancient silence sings in glass threads no one remembers making. Section 7, Giants and Oversized Remains. In the late 1800s, while clearing farmland in White County, workers found a set of limestone burial mounds. Inside one, they found the bones of several people measuring over 7 feet long. The bones were thick with long thigh bones and oversized skulls. Local papers reported the find, calling them giants of a forgotten race. The skeletons were reportedly taken to a nearby university where they vanished soon after being cataloged. Modern archaeologists often dismiss these accounts as exaggerations or mistakes. Yet other mounds in the area show signs of deliberate overbuilding bigger chambers than needed for average-sized people. Native legends from the area speak of the asterisk Anatiski, asterisk or bone walkers, tall beings who, once hunted with stone clubs the size of tree trunks, were the folklore or fragment of truth. The White County skeletons stay unaccounted for, but stories of giant bones live on in old newspapers, hidden archives, and in uncovered stone coffins. In 1912, fishermen along the Duck River pulled ashore something odd, a huge human-like jawbone stuck in clay. It was nearly twice the size of a modern adult's with teeth like a human's, but almost an inch wide. Dentists who saw it then called it anatomically correct, but impossibly large. The jawbone was sent to a Nashville museum but disappeared from records within a year. Some say it was quietly sent to the Smithsonian. Others think it was destroyed. No matching remains have ever been found. Yet tales of giant eaters who once roamed the Duck River Valley exist in both settler diaries and native oral traditions. The jaw's size suggests a person nearly 9 feet tall. Was it a mutation, a myth, or a leftover from a race never put in textbooks? The Duck River keeps its secrets along with its bones. Stored in the archives of a Memphis museum are 3 stone axes dug up in the 1890s. Each is over 2 feet long, carved from one block of flint so hard it defies modern shaping tools. Their handles show were marks from use like chopping wood, but their size means they were held by hands much bigger than ours. Curators long called them ceremonial made, big for show. A study in 2003 showed tiny cracks along the blade edges from repeated hitting. These weren't decorations, they were tools. Native oral history from the area tells of the tall ones, builders and hunters who vanished in a flood sent by the earth to humble their pride. Are these axes pieces of that tale? No similar tools have been found since, but they stay on file, untouched, and strange to display, too big to ignore. In 1929, workers digging a courthouse foundation in Paris, Tennessee, hit something unexpected, an enormous human-like skull stuck in red clay. The skull was long with a heavy brow ridge and unusually wide eye sockets. Measurements made it 1.5 times bigger than an average adult's. Nearby, pieces of an extra thick shin bone and thigh bone were found, suggesting a person over 8 feet tall. The bones were sent for study and never returned. No official report was made. Residents remembered federal agents visiting soon after the find. For years, whispers said the skull was taken for military research or hidden to avoid rewriting history. The site is now paved over, but Paris locals still tell stories of the giant under the courthouse, and sometimes clay lumps with strange shapes appear after heavy rain. The land remembers, even when we're told to forget. 2 matching burial mounds near the Obion River were dug up in 1904, showing the skeletons of 2 men over 8 feet tall. What shocked diggers most was the symmetry, same height, same bone structure, same dental oddities. The men had extra teeth, double rows on the upper jammed wide hip bones. They were buried facing each other with polished stone discs placed between their ribs. One early archaeologist thought they were guardians, twin sentinels protecting a sacred spot. Local Chickasaw stories speak of giant twins who guarded the Cavern of Flame, a lost underground temple said to hold a starstone. No such temple has ever been found. The stone discs were lost on the way to a museum, but records remain. And though the mounds have worn down, sky views still show their twin shadows. 2 giants sleeping under Tennessee's soil, facing each other as if waiting for a call. Rumors of a mass grave of giants have long swirled around Signal Mountain. In 1895, miners blasting a hillside opened a stone-lined room holding many oversized skeletons, all set in a circle with their skulls pointed inward. The tallest was over 9 feet. In the circle, center was a hollow filled with ash, burnt wood, and a ring of copper pieces. Newspaper articles then called it a burial of chiefs or maybe an ancient council of elders. But within a month, the room was rearied. The entrance collapsed and was sealed under a new mining claim. Today, only old clippings and diary entries remain. No formal dig has ever been tried. The mountain slopes are quiet now, but some hikers say they hear faint voices on windy nights. Slow murmurs rising from stone. Signal Mountain may be more than a name. It may be a warning. Section 8. Ritual sites and blood grounds found in 1936 during roadwork near Dunlap. The Red Pit puzzled archaeologists. It was a stone-lined hole 6 feet wide and perfectly round, filled with layers of red-stained soil and blackened bone bits. Tests put the oldest materials over 2,500 years old. The site had no houses, tools, or signs of living nearby, just the pit alone in a clearing. Trees around it had burn marks decades old. Some think it was a sacrificial altar. Others say cremation or bloodletting rites. Native oral stories mention the fireball where oaths were sealed. The bones are from both animals and humans mixed together. The pit was re-airied, called sacred and off. Yet some locals say the soil there still turns red after heavy rain, ritual or massacre, memory or myth. The Red Pit gives no answers, only soaked earth and a silence that speaks in stains. On a high limestone ridge in Lewis County, a formation called Devil's Backbone hides a group of flat stones set in a half circle and stained a deep iron color. Their surfaces have smooth dips like bowls, many with tiny channels running toward the cliff edge. Early settlers called them altars. Archaeologists guess they were for food prep or paint grinding, but no food bits and the presence of burned material suggest otherwise. One stone has a series of cut chevrons and ring symbols common in ritual use across ancient America. The overlook itself lines up with both the solstice sunrise and a no-vanished star cluster. Some researchers believe blood was poured and offered here to the heavens. Local legends speak of hooded figures who climb the ridge on moonless nights. Whether sacred or dark, the altar stones remain, weathered and still stained with something rain can't wash away. From above, Lookout Mountain shows strange patterns on the forest floor. Dark rings of scorched soil, each about 20 feet across. These rings are invisible on the ground, hidden under brush and leaves. But aerial photos and heat scans confirm their shape and consistency. Geologists ruled out lightning or wildfires. These circles are too even. Inside, the soil changes a lot high in phosphorus, calcium, and charred bone bits. No settlements are nearby. The rings repeat every few hundred yards across a 2-mile stretch. Some think they were sites of open air, cremations, or seasonal offerings. One unverified 1800s account describes a fire dance of blood and shadow held in the area. Whatever they were, the circles stay black under the green, like memories of flame carved into the land. Near the Tennessee River, a winding row of stacked stones makes the clear shape of a coiled snake. Its head lines up with the setting sun at equinox. Known as the Stone Serpent, this shrine was first mapped in the 1920s, but has since faded from view. The site has a central dip filled with ash and ochre powder and nearby a shallow bowl cut from riverstone. The alignment with celestial bodies suggests a ritual calendar, while the snake form speaks of fertility, death, or change, common themes in native cosmology. The shrine is ringed by trees marked with vertical scars, maybe from blade strikes or painted symbols now worn away. Oral traditions hint at the river's watcher, a being called in times of drought or war. Today the shrine lies moss-covered and unguarded, its stone slowly falling into memory even as the snake still watches. After earthquakes in 1811 reshaped the land and made Rio Foot Lake, locals began finding unusual pilestones set in a ring often around hollow logs packed with ash and crimson-stained feathers. These blood cairns, as they were called, appear nowhere else in native tradition. Many were looted or destroyed, but a few stay untouched in wildlife refuge zones. Tests on the remaining logs suggest they're older than the quakes, meaning they weren't offerings after, but maybe prophecies of it. Some researchers believe they were ritual markers for an expected upheaval and earth sacrifice. One feather was from a red-tailed hawk species now extinct in the region. The cars sit at the edges of drowned trees, often underwater. Their origins stay unknown, but the message is chilling. Someone knew the earth would break and left a warning steeped in blood. Deep in the Pinson Mounds complex is a natural dip lined with stones, nicknamed the Echo Chapel. When you speak inside it, even a whisper comes back with startling clarity. The acoustics are unnatural, more like a built amphitheater than a natural feature. During digs in the 1950s, archaeologists found ceremonial pipes, crushed shells, and red ochre here, but no burials. The spot lines up exactly with the main mound axis, suggesting it was key to ritual practice. The lack of everyday trash points to purely ceremonial use. Some believe the space was for chants, summons, or oaths. Its echo, boosting not just voice but intention. Local tribes called it the place where words grow bones. Nothing is built there now, but if you speak a name into the Echo Chapel and listen close, it may not come back the same. Tennessee does not bury its past. It covers it under ridges and roots. Offerings still whisper. Bones lie in shapes. No anatomy book records. Echoes repeat names no one remembers saying. These mysteries aren't leftovers. They are systems, ceremonies, calls. Some called stars, others called blood. But all left traces no science can fully hold. Thank you for walking with us through sacred geometry, vanished giants, and ritual fire. This has been Unmapped Mysteries, where every footprint in the earth may yet be a word in an ancient, unfinished sentence. May your night stay curious and your silence reverent.